Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Practical IT React.js tutorial. On this one, we're going to be taking a look on how we would be using a fetch, which is the built-in function from the JavaScript to get the data from the remote server. For this one, I have changed it into a newer URL. For this case, we're going to be just using this one. I have already opened it over here. And this one is pretty much like a known example online when you're going to be just changing or checking for the remote access. And if you go to like the JSON placeholder, the typecode.com, then you're going to take a look on a couple of them. We can do that one like quickly. And this one is like a known, as I've said, like as an example. So you can take whether it is a to-dos or if you want to get like more of like a post, then it's going to give you like an example from the JSON. For this one, we're going to be just taking a look on the to-dos. And as you can see, this is the RESTful API where you're going to have like the path and then the ID. And if I'm changing this one, then you can see the different value for the ID is going to be just given. So we're going to be just sticking with that. Like the main concept on this one is just to be able to fetch this data, which is on the remote server with this the URL from the part of the API that we're getting, and then to be able to show it using the fetch. I have changed this one as well a little bit, that the axios, we can use it as it is, and we have moved the URL. And for the axios, you can get like the get in the URL. And, like for using the ref, then we can change the value. So if we go back to the app, then it's going to, what it is doing over here is it is getting like the URL, I mean, the title of the path over here where you're going to be showing this one, and then it is pretty much pointing it over here. Now, how can we do exactly the same thing but using the fetch? And you might be wondering that why do we care that? And there could be at times that you may not be able to use third-party tools like the Axios or other fetching tools. And in that case, you can go back to the one provided by the JavaScript, which in this case is the fetch. So let's create another function called function button handler. Let's call it fetch. And we're going to be using this one in place of the previous one. So we're going to use this one. So when we are clicking on a button over here, then the function handler for the click is going to be just this one versus the other one. And probably just get this one to do, let's say, click to see to do. Just very simple one over here. All right, so the way how we do that is it's very easy. We're going to have like a fetch, and for the fetch, we're going to be just passing a URL and basically like the parameters that we're going to be just passing. So for the gate, the default is going to be the part of a parameter is going to be just most of them. We're going to be just using a default one, which in this case is going to be just a gate. So I'm going to be just passing the URL. And we have like the then, just like the way we are using on the Axios. So for this, we're going to get a response. And we have like console.log, let's say response, just so that we can see we are on the right path. So we're going to do this thing. Did I save that one? Yep, all right. So let me refresh that. I was not expecting to see anything over here. And we go to the console and let's click this one. And if we click on that, then we're getting actually something back. This one is a little bit different from the one that we're getting on the previous one. And we need to have like a JSON to be taken out of it. So that's everything that we're going to get is going to be just under the body. And here you're going to see that, like it's going to be just simply a string. And we're going to get the value which we are getting back from it by getting a JSON out of it. Like if it is a text, then you're going to get that text. If it is HTML, you're going to get that HTML. It goes all like that. But in our case, since we're getting like the JSON, what we're going to do is we're going to get a JSON out of this one, and we're going to respond to that. So the easiest way to do that is going to be, we're going to be here, and we're going to say that JSON. But the thing is, this one is also further responding another promise. Then in that case, we're going to say like then, and we're going to say, let's say data, and we can say console.log and data. So it's a two-way process, but basically you can also do this thing inside the JSON. You can simply pass a function just like the way we are doing it here, and then just get the value out of it, or you can pass that one and then just pass it over here, and then like be able to see the data out of it. So if we go back and let me click this one, and if I do that, then you can see a corresponding value that we were able to see like on the remote server is available to us. So we have like the completed false, ID is 1, title is given with this, and user ID is here, and that is exactly what we are showing over here. Of course, the position of like the keys might be different, but like all of them are going to be just here. So now, as you can see, the way how we are reading at this level is exactly the same. So all we have to do will be just to change the current inner HTML into like to update like the value of the div. Then we have to do would be just to change this, and we can say ref dot current dot inner HTML, and then in this particular case though, we're getting it from data dot title. So if let me go back and let's claim this, and if I'm clicking on that, then you're going to see a value that we're getting from this is actually read from the server, and we're going to get it back over here. So the URL that we have used over here is just one. If you are changing it to something else, let's say 5, then we can have the value to be read in a different way. So if we're doing that one, then whatever the title, which is coming from the 5, is going to be just applicable over here. And usually you can do that one by, for example, accepting the ID from the user and then appending it at the end, and then showing the value over here as well. So those are like a couple of things that we can do using the React. So at this very moment, we are more interested on to see how the fetch can be used. And as you can see, in order to use the fetch, there is nothing that we have to import. It is entirely from the JavaScript itself, and it is working perfectly with this one. In this particular case, we're not using additional parameters, but if you are using like a post or a delete or anything of that kind, and if you're going to be just using additional information regarding like the header or the data or anything, then we're going to pass it around on the page on the next one. But for this one, now you have like a full understanding of how the axios and the page are pretty much working the same at the end of the day. Whichever is going to be just you are using, you're going to get the same result at the end. All right, so with this, we're going to wind up the this video. If you find it useful, don't forget to like it, and we appreciate that. Thank you very much for your attention, and then I'm going to see you on the next video.